Happy Friday night. We made it. It might have been stressful for everybody you see on the screen, but we are here. We are alive and I hope thriving. Will, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good, man. Lots of fun stuff going on, lots of work stuff going on, but we're here. How
So
about
we
you?
I let's talk comics.
Okay.
Whenever there's
We'll
a
co-
storm, whenever
we'll
there's a
come back
storm
to
in the
that.
tropics aimed like
Mhm.
directly at my house, things get a little stressful around here. But you know what? We should we should survive. It should be fine. You
It's
know.
this is fine. This is
Yeah.
fine.
It's all
So
good.
no, the track changed in the last 12 hours to make it a little more like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should go out and clean up around the house a little bit so that things don't become projectiles. But this is not the Hurricane Ian show. I don't believe, at least not yet. We are going to talk comics and crowdfunding. We have Melissa J. Messi and Andrew. How do you say your last name, Andrew?
Abarca.
Abarca. All right. And we are going to talk about the crowdfunding campaigns that they are running. Talking about stress, they're the three most stressful things that can happen in your life are death of a loved one, a wedding, and buying a home. Those are
Mm,
three things that are said to be the most stressful. I'm going to add a fourth and a fifth, moving, which we know that one of the poor people on this screen is involved with right now. And I'm going to add running a comic Kickstarter. Now that one is fun stress, but it's still stressful. So what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of the stress. We're going to have a blast tonight. And how we usually do this is we do a little 30-second pitch for each project. MJ, you've been with us before, so why don't you start us off? How would you get somebody interested in the Alchemist of Aurelia if you were at a comic convention and they were walking right past you?
sure. So the short of it is that a wizard is hoping that an old legend is true so that she can stop a witch's revenge.
Very nice. All right, Andrew, and what can we hear about our starry universe?
So the main protagonist is a space pirate, but she doesn't think of herself as a pirate because she was totally going to return that ship after she was done borrowing it. It wasn't her fault it got destroyed. And it has magic, so space pirates with magic.
All right, so we did it again, Will. We have a theme. We have created a theme of magic and fantasy through the sheer luck of having awesome comic creators decide that tonight is the night that they can talk to us.
No,
So,
we totally planned it, man. We
yeah,
totally planned it.
yeah.
You know how we use like, math and science and maybe a little magic, but yeah, it all comes together.
It's karma. It makes us look a lot better than we are, and we're going to take it. Andrew, let's look at our Starry Universe because this is your first time with us, right? I don't think we've done
Yeah.
any projects with you. All right,
And I
because
haven't met Andrew yet, so I'm very excited to see about his work too.
so if you could share one of your 160 Chrome tabs with us, preferably the one with your Kickstarter campaign. Um,
Let me just share this entire screen. Should be
I
seeing
see it.
all of us in a.
Woo, there we go.
So
Beautiful.
here's my campaign. I got this from Bella Ratchlin. She's wonderful, and I actually have. I have this open here. She gave me the original. Well, I
Oh,
purchased it,
nice.
but I don't know if you can see that from here.
Oh,
When we
wow.
get off of the screen, we'll look at it closer. But that's great. Is she the interior artist on the book?
No, she did the cover. So
Okay.
let me scroll down here to the artist so you can see who did this. We are down. Scroll dizzy. The team. There I am with one of my little pups.
Oh,
And
nice.
3 little Boston Terriers. So Ali Garza did the first half of pencils. He's a very busy guy, very nice guy. Mustafa's inking. Niai Rafino is nice enough to do the colors for me, and Paul Rodrigues is going to finish up the pencils for me. And then I have a ton of cover artists. Not even all of them are shown here, but
Oh, wow.
huge team. I decided to go big on this one.
Hey,
Maybe a little too big. A little too many colors.
well, you seem like you're doing pretty good so far. So, what is the genesis of this story? What was the first, like glimmer in your eye, so to speak, on this comic?
Well, I write novels. I've been writing for almost 5 years now. Let's stop here so we can look at that. This character's been with me for a long time. So it was all about her at first. Name is Jessica Darkoni. And when I was a teen, so many years ago, I'm a lot older than I look.
That is a good problem to have.
I hear that, yeah. I needed a new online personality for MMO RPGs. And like Buffy fan names were not cutting it anymore.
Okay.
So I decided I was going to be Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark, which I had never played, but I had read about. And I got her name wrong because I had never played it. And I called her Jessica Dark instead of Joanna. So then Jessica Dark was born, and she made appearances in World of Warcraft and EVE Online and stuff like that. Well, then after some years, I did an iteration of her name, like I leveled her up. So then it became Jessica with a K, Jesika, and then Darkoni as the last name. So
And
when
were you just playing the game at this point, or were you already starting to write?
I was just playing the games.
Okay.
And so when I started writing, I needed a break from an epic fantasy that I was writing. So I had this idea where this woman is in a spaceship. This is the opening scene, and she's under attack, and she gets shot at, and then a magic power activates to stop her from getting harmed. But that power, uncontrolled, hurts everybody around her. And that's how the story started. And then I wrote a short story, and now I'm lengthening that to a novel. And then once I was satisfied with the beginning, I wanted to peel this off and make a comic because I've been a comic fan for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the unique changes when you're adapting your novel to a comic? Have you felt like it's pretty much the same story, or do you find new avenues with the illustrations?
So far, the plot hasn't really changed. Although I have made some changes to the novel since the comic script was written and edited. I can imagine some drift. A lot of adaptations drift a little bit from the source material. But so far, I think it's pretty solid.
Okay. Oh, Shawnee's in the house. She says, "Wow, this is quite the all-star crew we have." Only the best for you, Shawnee. We get the good ones when we know you're gonna watch. So.
Oh, and I want to add here, Colette Turner did this design for me. She was awesome. So,
you said she's a not a pirate because she swore she was going to return the ship.
Yeah.
Does this non-pirate have a crew, or is she kind of off doing her own single adventures?
Right now, she's off doing her own single adventures. She had a hired gun in the very, very beginning, so no spoilers. The hired gun is killed right away. So it's just her and her AI. And so everybody in this universe has an AI called Sarah, SAR.
Okay.
And these Sarahs, they tell people what to do because they're supposed to help you make decisions in your life, but people become codependent on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the major themes is about, does the AI really have your best interests at heart? And we find out maybe not.
I wonder what you could be commenting on.
It's not a social commentary at all.
Sure. I haven't read it yet. I bet I'll find some allusions in my own reading, whether you wanted them there or not. So obviously this is coming from a novel, so the story could be quite long. What are you envisioning the series to run if it were to go, as far as you could take it, how long would this be? Is this a mini series, a maxi series, a forever series?
I think that it would be a forever series. One of the things I'm struggling with right now is, since the comic book was started, an agent is interested in the novel. And so that's kind of put a little bit of a pause on the comic book. So like issue 2, I would have had out right away. But they won't publish the book if there's an adaptation self-published. So it's tricky in the comics.
Yeah. Would they allow you to adapt it after the novel was published?
I think so, but I'd put that in the contract. I'd definitely put that in the contract.
So this could be a one-off that is extremely rare and extremely valuable.
Yeah, I hope not, but yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, we're trying to sell the comics. So we're going to say whatever we got to say. You know, we want people to back the Kickstarter. You know, Will and I lie all the time.
We're
my name
writers.
isn't even Kevin.
If they pick up the book after you get the comic, pick up the book.
Yeah.
Ask me for some more character. I want to make a statue of her. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
It's super cool.
No, she's got a cool design. You know, you're gonna get me, you know, with a redheaded kick-ass lead. you have me at the go, but
Thank you.
so in this world, it's obviously in the future or another galaxy with futuristic type tech. What, God, how can I ask this? What type of a sci-fi world as a reader would be the most interested in this book? You know, we've got, you know, the tech war, the Star Trek, we've got the Star Wars. What is the feel that you're trying to go for with this particular sci-fi story?
This is definitely space opera. So there's some tech in there. It's not always explained explicitly, especially because of the magic too.
Yeah, that's actually, I said sci-fi, but it's actually delving into the fantasy with the magic.
Yeah, speculative fiction. What I was thinking of when I created this, a lot of good inspirations that I had were things like Altered Carbon, things like Blade Runner. But this is, so that traditionally, there's like an Asian influence in the cyberpunk. In this one, I made it a Latinx influence. So this universe is if the Latin culture took precedence over Asian culture, which you would normally see in cyberpunk.
Okay.
So I was looking through the campaign, and you have, I think, what, eight covers? Is that? I mean, if you just 8 kind of separate. Well, some of them are, there's naughty and nice versions of some of them, but kind of just, you know. So what, 8, 9, or how many is it?
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13, cool.
13, including variants.
Very cool.
And all my
How did you wrangle? I mean, speaking personally, my limit's about 5 because that's about all I can have the bandwidth for. How can you wrangle 13 artists?
I started this last August.
Okay.
And the first thing I did was I was reaching out to artists to do the character design of Jessica. And Colette was nice enough to work with me and created a beautiful design. And then I started with people that were high on my priority list, like Paolo Pantalena, who had a notoriously long schedule. And so I asked them first. And in many cases, I paid up front first. And then in order to get this campaign all set up, I like to do my research. So I actually took a look at Ryan Kincaid's Persuasion Kickstarter, which he has issue 4 now going live. And I looked at his first 3 campaigns, what he offered and who bought what. And I was aiming for 13 covers, including alternates. And then I started reaching out to artists that I knew and artists that he had used that I've heard of. And then we just went from there. I actually know the art dealer of TD Art, who reps Cross, who did this one, and reps Marco Galli, who did the inks for this one, and a lot of great artists. She reps Sia who I couldn't get. That's my favorite artist right now.
Issue two.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who?
The statue, and she's like, I would love to do your statue. But she's working on Neo Wonderland right now, so it's a little hard to get.
So lots of great artists for the covers. Who? What's the rest of the interior team look like? I mean, you said I think Ale Garza is doing some of the pencils.
So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So Ali was starting interiors. He's a busy guy. He has a lot going on. So he was not able to finish the second half of pencils. So I did a canvas. I like to use, when I can, comic artists seeking commissions on Facebook, because there's a lot of great talent there. And I found Pal there, and he came with a recommendation too. So he's going to finish up the pencils for me. And then Mustafa was recommended by Ali, and he's been great to work with. And so he'll be finishing up the inks. So all 24 pages will be inked by him.
Okay, so that'll be a nice kind of a modulation between the two. Did you pick your second artist based on him having a similar style, or did you find a break point?
I did. Yeah, I posted these example images that I had from the interior, which are up here. And I asked these ones here. So I posted these on Facebook, and I said, I need somebody that can do this style. And I took a look at the examples, and Powell looked close enough.
No, that looks really cool. So you've got the naughty and nice cover. So is this a mature reader's book, or are you just having some fun with the covers?
It's mature for language, but otherwise I'm just having fun with the covers. And actually, that is going to make this cover right here very valuable, because when I started the comic, I decided that I was going to do some naughty and nice covers. And after I had the first one, hide this. Sorry. After I did the first one, so Ale Garza did this first, then the agent was interested in the novel, and then I got skittish because I was like, oh wait, if I come out with a comic with all these naughty pics, is the publisher going to pick it up, or are they going to say, ooh, I'm not touching that? So I canceled my other planned naughty covers, but this one was already paid for and done. So what's going to end up happening, I think, is whoever is going to pick this one up, or the lenticular, it'll let you go from naughty to nice. I'm going to end up printing only enough of those to cover the backers, plus a few extra damage.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
25 of those. So I'm going to comp him some of those. So this will be like very low print.
I mean, it's a good strategy. A lot of people definitely go that way. I totally get it, but I can see once you started talking to a publisher. It depends on the publisher, though.
It does, yeah.
I don't know who you're talking to. Some might be like, give me all the covers you can give me. So who was doing the colors? Because the colors were very cool as well.
So this is CC De La Cruz did the colors. Now, when I did the thumbnails, you can see this one looks a little washed out, and this one looks a little. That was my editing software when I scaled these down. So the colors are really beautiful. The picture here does not do it justice. It's going to look really nice on the cover.
Very cool.
Now, this is the first issue in this series, but you've done other Kickstarters as well, right? Is this your first comic Kickstarter?
This is my first comic Kickstarter.
Cool.
because I was drawing pictures before, and I did a couple Kickstarters for drawings.
Mhm.
Those did not.
You did novel Kickstarters? Is that what you said?
I did some Kickstarters for drawing portraits and stuff.
Oh, okay. How did those go? What was your experience?
I did one of those $1 pencils like early in my drawing career, and it was not successful. I did a couple of STEM, science, tech, engineering, and math outreach things, and those were not successful either. So.
Well, let's get your comics going then.
Yeah.
And I have a publishing company now too, called Apo Apsu Entertainment, and really my goal is to help indie authors who are self-publishing and maybe their books maybe not doing that great on like Amazon or something. And if they're interested in turning into comic books, I want to help them do that. So this is like my proof of concept Kickstarter. And after this one, then I'm going to start getting actual series going with other authors and make some really great stuff, I hope.
That's cool. Paul March says, I want to see both the graphic and the literary novel. Good luck with OSU Android. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I have found that I just don't make time for novels anymore. So I'm going to read the comic book. But if you get the novel out, I will buy it and have it on my bookshelf and be like,
we'll
yeah.
get an audiobook if you like those.
There you go. Well, sweet. Well, good luck. And we're going to pivot over to MJ. We gotta go get out of stay in magic and get out of space. So MJ, you've already been on with the Alchemist of Aurelia. I'm going to make myself look stupid and give you a compliment. I found the first 2 issues from the last Kickstarter, and I went, oh cool, I can read these before the thing, so I can actually read it. I put them in my car. I drove up, and I had an hour and a half to sit there, and I read an issue, and I said, that's pretty good. And I put it away, and I pulled out The Alchemist Aurelia #1. And I looked at what I just read, and there was a big #2 on the cover. But Stan Lee says every comic book is a reader's first entry into your story, right?
Yeah.
I had no problem reading or following your story, completely ignoring issue 1, and then I went back and I was like, oh, so Sprite wasn't always there. Okay. So I read it completely out of order, but it still works. So that is my compliment and my admittance of how dumb I am. Which is, if people have watched this show or listened to it on the podcast, they know, but it's always good to give more evidence of how dumb of a person I actually am. But so just let's go back to the kernel of where this story came from you, and then we'll share the page and look at it a little bit.
Sure. So I'm a big art history nerd, and in college I got really into like the Byzantine Empire and Byzantine art and that whole era of history. And then I started reading more about the Ottomans who came after them and their really unique style of how they kind of took what the Byzantines had done and incorporated it into, their kind of, Middle Eastern sensibilities. And it became this really unique thing that you don't see anywhere else in that region. So that's the nerdy part of it. But also, like when you're reading that YA quartet and the third book is always in the desert land or like the Eastern land, and it's always like the best book in the quartet, and then it's over and they go back to plain old ye olden times, Dark Ages land. I'm like, I don't want this. I want to go back to the other place. That place was awesome. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to make a whole series that's in that, other setting. And I'm going to throw in a lot of, Ottoman Turkish sensibilities and aesthetic into it from my history nerd side. So I actually, that first issue of The Alchemist of Aurelia is the pilot episode that I put together. I should put together for a contest. And
Cool.
No one looked at it. So So it just kind of sat around for a year, and then I put it on Kickstarter, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is really good. When's the next issue coming out?" I'm like, "It's coming soon." So then I figured I had to write a whole series, and I spent about a year doing that, and now here we are with the whole story, and we're going on an adventure, which, you know, I love a good adventure, so.
Yeah, and Blake from the Blake Buzz podcast does say you really know how well a series flows if you can read it out of order. And so it does sort of make sense that you probably wrote the second one not as a second pilot, but you were probably getting back in with the characters a little bit as well. So we've got a world full of magic. We've got a young rising wizard in training. Is that?
Yeah, wizard in training, almost a wizard, could be a wizard if she did her homework correctly, you know, that kind of thing.
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I do. There's one particular thing that I really, you know, hits home with me because I do have a daughter in 8th grade, you know, who really just wants to learn it herself and doesn't really want any help learning things. So I have a special affinity for your lead character and anger as well. It hits a little close to home, but it's very realistic and you know, realistic to me. But what other? It's a very fun, silly, and then at times dark. How do you deal with the tone? Because it works, but it definitely pops into a little bit of danger, a little bit of silliness.
Yeah, I always say, you know, I'm your purveyor of fine fantasy comics and tragic shenanigans. Everything starts out like, woohoo! And then it's like, oh no. And it just kind of keeps going downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
It just is something that comes natural to me from how I grew up and the things I grew up reading. From, you know, being someone who's generally like a positive, optimistic person, but also likes to read a lot of things that give me emotions. So, you know, you're getting into, you know, I read a lot of manga and stuff growing up that, you know, maybe was a bit ahead of my time. But you get really emotionally involved, especially as a teenager. You know, you just really invested in these stories, and terrible things are happening all around, and it's like, what awful thing is going to happen to the characters next? But you still have that optimistic sense that it's going to be okay, and that's kind of what I want to keep giving my readers, that things can get bad, but it's not, you know, so much piling on, because that can get really tiring. I mean, this is supposed to be fun. And, you know, at the end of the day, I want people to enjoy what they're reading and not get tired by it. Because I've dropped a few things because I'm like, oh, no, not tonight. I can't. Like, I was like watching Daredevil. I was like, oh, no, we can't. Oh, I need to lie down. This is too much. Or
The Ben Affleck Daredevil, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Between that and then, you know, we would watch like episodes of Attack on Titan, and it's like, oh no, like I need to sit down. We do one at a time, you know. So I never wanted to get like that bad, but I do want people to feel something about it and to be like, oh, I can't believe this happened to my favorite character. I can't believe where this is going. How are they gonna recover from this? You know, that's really what I'm trying to inspire in my readers, because that's something I felt a lot at especially when I was younger as a teenager and going into my early 20s, when I was experiencing all kinds of media, and it was such a fun time. You know, that's kind of what I want to inspire in people as they pick this stuff up.
No, it feels like it. And you do all of the art, you do the writing, you do the lettering, I'm going to assume?
Yeah, on this series I do, yeah.
Okay, so a one-stop shop. You know, like whenever we get somebody, and we probably said this the last time, Will and I get a little envious and frustrated that somebody can actually do that. So who wins out, artist MJ or writer MJ, when you get to a page that you maybe wrote a month ago, and you're looking at the script and then you're looking at what you need to draw? Who wins out?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, because it's really both the whole time, because I'm a very visual person in my head. So when I've written it, I've already seen it happening.
Okay.
I almost envision it as an animated like movie or episode. So I'm just trying to capture what I've seen in my head on the page.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess technically it would be artist, but the artist and the writer are so entwined at this point. It's really hard to say one or the other. I guess who's ever less tired that day gets to win because the other one can't fight back. It's like,
Well, and this isn't your only series that you're running on Kickstarter either. I mean, not right now, but you have your Black Ball series too, which is also really good.
Yes, my 1920s magical murder mystery. So, there's a theme. People throwing magic at each other is, I guess, what I'm doing now. It's a funny story because I was supposed to be launching Black Ball number 4 right now after I wrapped Alchemist of Aurelia number 2. So I was going to be rotating back and forth between the two. But I already knew exactly what I wanted to happen in Alchemist of Aurelia number 3. And I had been storyboarding both of them, and I ended up in this weird writer's block with Black Ball 4, where I had storyboarded a scene and then I didn't like it, so I was starting it again, and I'm like, oh, this is too much. I'm just going to work on the other one. And that's how we are where we are now. And so the plan now is that when this one is finished, I promise, go back to Black Ball number 4, because we are getting to the halfway point in the story. So.
This is an exclusive, guaranteed Black Ball number 4 is coming, unless she decides to do the Alchemist of Aurelia 4 first.
I even asked Angela Odling, I was like, oh, do you want to do a variant cover for Black Ball? And she's like, I would love to. And then never updated her, like, oh, by the way. So sorry, Angela. I promise that you will do a variant if you still want to.
It reminds me of a story that Neil Gaiman once said, where he was having just terrible writer's block on a novel he was working on. He just stuck. And so he closed the document, he opened another one, and he wrote an 18-page short story that day. And he's like, okay, so I can still write. I just can't write that novel. So, it's probably smart of you to, okay, you're stuck, but you can move on the other thing. I think that's probably a very healthy choice to make.
Yeah, I think in the end it was the right thing to do, because I probably would have still been banging my head against the wall for a while with Black Ball, but now I'm feeling better about going back to Black Ball after this is done. I think this book just needed to get out. It was ready to be written and put together and put out in the world. So it ended up working out in the end, I think. But apologies to everyone I told in February, oh yeah, you more speakeasies and things. Absolutely.
Now, I am ignorant on Black Ball. Do you draw that as well, or do you have an illustrator for that?
Nope. All the drawing and art and writing and all that is me also. And that one is in color too. It's a limited palettes, but it is all hand colored. So.
Nice.
Do you dislike yourself?
Yes. Every day, all the time. I'm a Maple Leafs fan. I'm a Ferrari fan. I'm an Arter and Rightus. It's just all piling on the hate over here.
It does feel tough.
How often can I hurt myself?
Well, let's look at the page. If you could share it with us and take us through the page and tell us what's what.
Sure thing.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I know you mentioned you were about halfway on Black Ball with number 4, so I assume about 8 issues for it. How
Yeah, I'm hoping number 6 will be the last one, but 3 ended up being a double issue, so we'll see.
That's the way to get your number right. Just make one, an 80 page.
Right? It's 120 pages. That is one chapter right there.
How many issues do you think the Alchemist will run?
If I'm looking at my chart up here on the wall, I'm thinking about 10. So I'm keeping it tame over here, because I had that stupid 20s energy years ago where it's I'm going to do my epic, and it's no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So we're going to keep it reasonable.
We've talked about it a lot. We all thought, I thought you had to do a Sandman style outline to get a comic made, and youngins, you don't. A 4-page short or a one shot or a 3 to 4 issue mini, and everyone who's tried to do the maxi series is man, I really wish I'd done 4 issue mini series as opposed to this thing. But I used to joke that Tart was going to be 42 issues, guaranteed. Now, the last 2 issues could each be 150 pages long, or they could each be 3 pages long, but it's going to be 42. And even that, I looked through at one point and I was like, this is way too long. And I went through the outline and I cut out anything that was just for fun and didn't literally tell the story. And we got it down into the high 20s. So I still don't recommend that, people. Do short, and finish. But 10, you're only harming yourself with 10. So I think you get to do whatever you want.
Yeah, just me and the production artist. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, we got some bad news. Shawnee cannot help with the explain yourself bump because she's already a backer. You know what? We're gonna count that as still as a win, just not part of the bump. I'd rather people be on you guys' stuff first day, but if we can get a couple extra, that's extraordinary too.
Yeah, well, I see we already picked up a couple people up to 59. So I was at 54 all this week, and I kept checking it all week while I was at the office for my day job, and I was like, oh no, it's still 54, and it's like, stop looking at it, and like, no, I have to keep staring at it. So being up to 59 now is very nice.
We're gonna get you up to you had 80 on the last campaign, right?
89.
89. All right.
So I'm hoping this is the one that gets to 100.
Triple digits.
Oh, it's going to go over 100. Yep. It's going to go over 100.
Well, this is
a will already guarantee.
Guarantee.
So right. I'm going to get 100 baggers, and I also have to make Blackball number 4 is what we're learning from this class.
That's right. Exactly.
we make all kinds of claims, promises, and statements on this show.
I have a weird question for you.
Sure.
One of the things that I try to do is like the first week of the campaign, if I can, or at least the first 2 days of the campaign, is I try to take those off work because I know I'm going to be absolutely useless and just staring at this, refresh. Is that something that you do? You mentioned you were at work. I'm just curious.
No, usually actually the first day or so I'm okay because I know every time I come back the number is going to change. Like it's just day 1 for you, right? And I did a secret launch this time, so I knew day 2 I would still be getting some traffic pretty decently. It's really after that initial bump where you start to enter the dead zone is where I start sitting on the page and panicking. And I also have like 5 different things gathering data for me on my Kickstarter. So I'm like comparing all the data points. I'm like, am I tracking ahead? Like how many backers did I roughly have at this time? And are the users coming? And what's the bounce rate looking like? And I'm just driving myself crazy because I'm just looking at everything. So at some point it's like I have to stop and go have a snack. You know?
The dead zone is rough. The dead zone's rough, especially when it's been 3 or 4 days and you've had like 3 backers in 3 or 4 days, and you know that's what it is, but you never get used to it, or it's never okay, even though it's coming. You've been through it before. You know that there's going to be that uptick at the end, but it's rough. Andrew, have you dealt with the dead zone yet in this campaign? I know you've got 26 left.
I'm not looking forward to it. I've heard about it, so I know it's coming. It's just, and I am checking out work. I don't get good cell reception at my day job, but when I go to the bathroom, I can check my phone. So I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom again.
Don't worry about
it. You start making up lies that are just so humiliating. No one's gonna ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you must know, I undercooked my eggs this morning.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I am lucky that I do work remote, so I can't get in too much trouble as long as I'm showing up to meetings and user experience, that's a thing. Yep.
Yeah. refresh. I remember the first campaign for crossover division number 1. You're in the dead zone and you're like, oh my God, is anybody ever going to back this again? Am I just done? Is this it? And then you get it back and you're like, yay. am I ever going to get another backer?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, have I already peaked? Is this it?
Yeah, I
This is
know,
the end of my
right?
career right here.
I'm very lucky because I did pick up the books. You have those really cool like metal book page
Bookmarks.
holder bookmarks. Are you doing that again? What are some of the cool swag you have with this campaign?
Yeah, so actually, we have a variant cover this time. I did the first cover and I'm like, I can do more. So I decided to go for the variant. I meant to, ask around and I forgot. I just didn't get there to hire other artists. So, just do it
And
yourself.
we've already established that you really don't like yourself. So, hey, just why not add more work, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I need something to do. So. So we have a limited variant cover, limited to 25 copies total. So I think I haven't done the math, but I think there's maybe about 10 left, and they are numbered and signed. So you can pick up those.
Are they their own tier or are they an add-on?
So there is one tier where you can get it in a bundle with the original, and then you can also get it as part of the collector's set, where you can also get both the book plate, which is a black and white ink illustration that I do for you that's signed, and I'm also doing color 4x6 little illustrations as well. So you can pick up that in this set. You can also get the cover art from the original, which I have here actually.
So,
And you really like to work your artists, don't you?
Oh yeah, to the bones.
We need to remember to remember to look at both covers when we get out of this thing, because I told Andrew we'd do it and then I forgot. So
What's the other one?
Do you ever sell your originals?
I try to, but I just haven't gotten really any takers. So yeah, if anyone wants to buy them, please do, because they're just sitting in my house. It's definitely something I've tried to do and just no bites.
It's interesting. Yeah.
But I don't know. I go back and forth. Like, do I want to sell them or do I want to keep them? Like, no, for my first comic, it's kind of like I want to keep it because.
Yeah, there's definitely some I can't part with, but then there are a few where it's like, no, I'm okay with letting these go. I'm thinking especially with comic pages, I just amass more and more from creating them. There's more that I'm okay with letting go of. So.
Yeah, I definitely there have been times where I've ended up with some of Ludo's artwork to sell, or like he came over to New York and he couldn't take them back to France, and I held them for like a year and a half, and it was like they were mine, even though they certainly were not. Giving them back was rough, but I knew they weren't. And also, like, sometimes people will do an original commission with the Kickstarter, so he'll send all of them to me and then I send them out. So for like 3 weeks to 5 months, depending on how long I'm waiting for the comics, they are mine. And then I have to do the right thing and give the person who paid for it their reward. Yeah. But no, original pages are definitely cool to sell, but I don't feel like it's a big thing on Kickstarter. There are a couple people who will try it, but it's not a big Kickstarter thing. It's more of a comic convention. People like to pick those up, I believe.
Yeah, I think being able to see them in person helps with that too, because there's been many a time I'm like browsing the tables in a con and I see some of the original art people have, and it's, I might not even know the artist, but just seeing what they can do physically on the paper, it's just nice. There's just something nice about it. It's like, I might buy this.
Absolutely.
I saw an Art Adams piece at San Diego Comic-Con once, and I was like just 2 feet away from it. It was so gorgeous.
I have an original Sia watercolor on my wall. It's beautiful.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, so it's the art. I was really lucky. The first thing I did was a book called Diary of Night with artist Gene Gonzalez. And we went through and we did the 4 issues, and we got it collected and everything. And then because Gene is just such an awesome dude, he shipped me. He said, here's all the art for those 4 issues. And I was like, that's precious, my precious.
So, MJ, can I ask you to scroll down just one page below that? So I'm looking at the, what would be probably panels 2 and 3. When you write the script, do you write for yourself kind of that fractured panel, or do you just write what's happening, and then when you get to drawing, do you kind of fracture it and play around with the layout?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I'm writing, I'm usually drawing alongside it as well. So I already have the idea in my head of a general how it's going to be broken out, maybe not the exact shapes of the panels or how they'll exactly fit in. But at this point in my drawing career, I've kind of gotten that sense of rhythm for, depending on the kind of scene it is and what's going on and what's going to be happening, to know, when I want to do these broken up panels and when I want to have insets and when I want things to be really angular, like especially my action scenes, the panels tend to get really angular and jagged because those diagonals and those sharp shapes are more dynamic and exciting, and they kind of get that sense of danger across a little better.
Cool.
Very
Definitely
cool.
like guiding the energy.
Well, let's pull this out, and then let's look at your cover
Let's look at some
closer,
art.
your art closer, and then we're going to look at Andrew's cover closer. And I don't know if this will work.
So yeah, I'll turn on my light too, because I turn this off because sometimes it makes me look a little too pale. So hopefully this is all right. Yeah, so this is the
Nice.
standard cover that you can get. It's really vibrant and beautiful in person. I'm still, you scan it in and it just never looks quite as nice. So being able to own it in person and really see it.
It pops. The turquoise really pops.
Yeah.
Smell the marker fumes that have seeped into the paper.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love seeing the ink from the back.
Oh yeah.
So you can tell that all that work. You can see all the work that went into it.
Yeah, and you see where I should have just airbrushed it and called it a day, but I didn't. So I was like, oh yeah, I own an airbrush now. I should have that would have saved me that.
Yeah. Would it work on a comic page? I'm so ignorant, I don't even know.
Oh yeah, so I have a masking film that I'll use to block off areas I don't want airbrushed. I actually did a lot of the backgrounds in black ball that way, where I just airbrushed them. It worked for the scene because it was all kind of the same background throughout. And it ends up working really well because you can do like really smooth gradients and some cool effects and some other just fun stuff. And it takes way less time and way less ink than spending hours just trying to get to be kind of smooth. And that's like, it's still a little streaky. It's not
cool. So you've got Shawnee Meyer's thumbs up. That's really pretty, she says in the chat.
And then we have our variant cover here, which is an idea I had for a long time, and I don't know. I think I did a poll and people didn't seem to like this one, but I still wanted to do it anyway. So I'm like, that's a variant cover now. Joke's on you.
At some point it's yours and you get to do what you want.
Exactly. But that's the point of being an artist, is to make the things you want to see in the world. So this one was a fun one just because of the lighting effects I was trying to get from the window. So a lot of time was spent doing that and getting the shadows right. But that's a lot of the fun of traditional media for me, is trying to get the sense of light when people don't think you can get it with a set of markers, right? Yeah.
So if you're listening to this on the podcast, because we do this live and people can watch it, or you can watch it on YouTube. But if you're listening to the podcast, you're going to have to go to my YouTube page. It is the weirdest thing. Just YouTube and look up BEANOKJ, and you can look at this artwork. So,
or
Andrew,
even better, go to the Kickstarter page and just
that's true.
Get that tier.
That's true. But if you go to the page, you get to see Will's dog behind him. The painting of Will's dog behind him. So Andrew, let's look at your cover.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple here.
Let's do it.
Let's see.
We don't usually get to do show and tell.
I was pretty conflicted with offering this Bella Ratchlin cover as my Kickstarter exclusive.
Oh wow!
I would love to just print this everywhere, but it is the Kickstarter exclusive, so you will only get it on this Kickstarter or in another Kickstarter. It won't be available at conventions or on my website. And this is, it's hard to tell, but this is traditional with paint and marker. She did a fabulous job.
Oh,
And
wow.
then
Beautiful.
Jamie Tyndall.
Oh, White Widow. Yeah.
These are the inks from him. Get closer here.
Oh, that's
Nice.
fantastic.
Yeah, Jamie knows how to draw a woman who will get attention. Let's put it that way.
And
I've met him.
love it.
I've met him a couple times. He's a very nice guy. My daughter was maybe 9 when we ran into, maybe 9 or 10, and she asked, "Oh, can I read that one?" Like White Widow's a very buxom young lady, and I said, and I read it through, and there's nothing objectionable in it, and I said, you can read it as long as you understand that no human female can look like this, and it's just drawn that way. She said, okay. I said, okay, you can read it. I just didn't want my 9-year-old daughter to expect that you're supposed to look like how he draws gorgeous women.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that is
That one's
beautiful
nice.
colors.
From,
Wow.
let me turn my light off.
Yeah, I want to find these people and apprentice under them. Like, show me your ways.
Now my screen is like, well, as much
There
as
you go. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
watercolor from Cross.
Yeah, no, that is
I
so
love
pretty.
that.
And just the angle is so unique, and the energy, the dynamism of the image, you can tell, even though it was
Definitely,
tougher.
So your Kickstarter exclusive cover, that what tier is that?
That is the $40 tier.
Cool.
I can go down here to my page and
If somebody wanted after you find that, if somebody wanted every cover, what would that be?
That's $45 for the Kickstarter exclusive, but it comes with the Kickstarter exclusive is going to be trade and virgin, so you get 2 for the price of 1.
Okay.
All these are
That's not bad
trade.
at all. That's actually not bad at all. Getting a virgin and a regular for $45, that is extraordinarily good value. If they wanted every cover, I think we said 13. What is there a tier to get
There's
that?
like 18 covers, including variants. Because Jamie Tyndall was nice enough to do a sketch edition for me. So it's white and it's going to be printed on paper that can be drawn on.
Oh, yeah.
And
Cool.
so that is a whopping 1,500, but I think it's worth it because you're going to get every single cover, all the lenticulars, all the metal covers, all the foil covers, everything will come in this.
Nice. So
It's been a little rough for me. I think I'm going to miss that tier this time. But if anybody out there can swing it, it's a value.
Yeah.
Every backer is different.
Mm-hmm. So
It's Shani said that she missed us.
Dead one for a while.
Yeah, hold on one sec. Shani says that she missed last Friday because she was at the amazing Las Vegas con and got to meet Jamie for the first time, and he was super nice. Yeah, Jamie really is a nice person. So sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Took a call from me. He actually took a call from me and gave me some advice on comic creating. So
Wow.
That's huge.
Cool.
super nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So Melissa, you've got a variant cover for this one. Are you going to collect the series once it's over? Or are you going to do a midpoint collection? Have you thought about that at all, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think because it's going to be 10, splitting it 5 and 5 is going to be really nice. So
Split it 8 and 2. Make people wonder.
All right, new plan.
Write it up there on the wall, okay?
Yeah, go and post it note right up there. Yeah, I think that split halfway because it'll be a good turning point, I think, in the series where things start to get, a little worse as they always do in volume 2. So that's the plan because, the plan from the beginning for me was always to do like full-length books, but that takes a really long time. So since I really started getting into the Kickstarter game, that's when I really started thinking in terms of issues and publishing them as standalones and then collecting them, instead of like, I'm going to wait 10 years and then there's going to be a book on Kickstarter. And no, don't do that. Just do the singles and then collect them. And then by then I'll hopefully have good ideas for, what the soft cover and if there's going to be a hardcover. Black Ball, I've thought more about what that final collected thing is going to be. So, lots of ideas for extras there, but definitely this one, at least 2 collections.
Very cool.
If, gosh, this is a very spoilerific question. So if you can't answer it, do not worry.
Everyone dies at the end in both series. Everyone's dead. Everything's terrible.
So it's a Shakespearean tragedy. Got it.
Oh, absolutely.
So probably not a second volume of, but in this world, is there any chance to come back to this desert world for more adventures?
Yeah, actually, I actually recently did a video on the whole timeline of the world. So there's things that have happened in the past that have affected how the world has been shaped. And the biggest one is this thing called the Pantheon War, where there was a group of gods and these other gods came and kicked those gods out. And then they saw, people had been building all these temples and monuments and things to the old gods. And they're like, we don't like that. They snapped their fingers and the whole world map basically was erased in one instance. So it's kind of why they can't figure out where the Alchemist of Aurelia's atelier is, because he was from that old time and they haven't figured out where Aurelia was. So that was kind of like the big central question when I was writing the story, back a year ago, was like, okay, they can't be that dumb that they can't figure it out. So what happened? And that's where all the world building kind of came into play. So like, that's a big thing that has shaped the world. There's also a particular age I want to set a story in where people started rediscovering all the ruins that it turns out like they didn't just disappear, they just kind of got buried by the sand and things. So people started finding them again at a certain point once all the wars and things stopped and things calmed down. And that was called the Great Age of Dungeon Delving. So I want to do a story set talking about some dungeon delvers and what that was all about. So
it's got a great title. I don't know about the story, but the title's great. Great Age of Dungeon Delving. I'm in. Oh, yeah. I want a t-shirt that says that.
Well, I guess I have a reward tier now for when I work on that. It's got to be a t-shirt.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Let's do another, like a 30-second pitch in case somebody just happened to pop on. Andrew, again, let's, if you were at a comic convention and somebody walked by, how would you get them into our starry universe?
So my very quick pitch is we have space pirates, we have AIs, and we have magic. You can't go wrong with that.
No, not at all. MJ, Alchemist of Aurelia.
A Turkish fantasy story where a young wizard hopes an old legend is true to stop a witch's revenge.
Awesome.
Nice.
So this is the point where, your contract is through. You owe us no more of your time. If you want to hang with us, we'd love to have you. But if it's, if you're hungry or tired and you need to eat or sleep, we will not be upset. But Will and I are going to go through some of the campaigns that are still live from creators who have been on the show. And if you are backing them or know the creator, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. But if you're taking off, let us know so we can say bye. One real quick comment. And Shawnee says it was lovely getting a chance to chat with both of you. Now, Shawnee, you make we are going to forgive you for going to a comic convention last week. Will and I did basically, we talked for about an hour and a half that she wasn't here last week, right?
Yeah.
I cried.
Oh, no, wait, no, that didn't happen because somebody had to run off for a football game, I think. I don't remember.
But by the way, that is the most giving I have been probably in my life, to pause that game when I had to pause it to do this show. And I had a blast talking comics. But when we were done, it was time to get back to the game, Will. All right?
So was it
Shawnee,
football or football?
it was football. It was not
Okay.
football. Football is like 6 a.m. Football is afternoon or night. No,
Well,
I'm a Florida State Seminole, and for some reason we were on Friday night last week. Will and I decided to do the show on Friday nights. Both of our wives go to bed around 10:30 to 11, so we're not messing up their schedules. We can stay up, talk comics, and then we have all day Saturday and Sunday to kind of regroup for our week. That's why we can do this show, and we love it. And I'm obsessed with Florida State football, and I was like, well, a Friday night, that's never going to be a problem. And of course, we have a 7:30 game. This at 10:59. There was 8 minutes left in the game. We were 7 points down and had first and goal on the 3, and I had to pause it and do the show. So if you re-listen to that show, I mean, I need some attaboys. I was present. I was there until my DVR kind of kicked in and it played at like midnight. I was like, because I was so afraid to see something and like, all right, whatever. Let's get to these other campaigns, and I guess we can talk about the Winchester Mystery House since they were on during this. Josh Warner is the editor-in-chief of Source Point Press. He's writing if it were a movie, it would be a biopic. So a biocomic. I don't know exactly what the word is, but it's a telling of a real-life person. She married into the Winchester family that made their fortune making the rifles that many of the soldiers in the earliest wars used to kill and were killed by. And she inherited an enormous amount of wealth and used that wealth to build a sprawling mansion for the dead that people still believe is one of the most haunted homes in the world. You can tour this home, and it's just a very cool retelling of her life and the building of the Winchester Mystery House. And it is a really good book. It's not on Kickstarter. It's on the Backer Kit crowdfunding thing. So you can
it's the first comic crowdfunder for Kickstarter or for Backer Kit, right?
Yes. Yeah. Backer Kit right now, Josh told us, is invite only. They're kind of just finding their way, and they did this it was the only comic so far on Backer Kit. So just go to backerkit.com and look at the all projects, and you'll find it. It's really cool, and you can get a game with it as well, like months earlier than you can get it at your game store. So definitely worth checking out. We also had that same night. Where are we at? Oh, Magic Powder. Yes, Jeff Schiller. Magic Powder is Sopranos if elves and orcs were Tony and the other characters. So we're in a magical world with elves, trolls, dragons, orcs. I said elves already, and
there's more elves.
There's a magic. There's what they're all chasing. Basically, their cocaine is magic powder that they use to create magic, and it's a lawless city, and they're all chasing this magic to run it, and it's just a cool, hard-boiled crime story, but with elves sprawled out in the streets. Strung up from their magic powder, but well worth checking out.
Let's see. The picture of Dorian Gray chocolate bars.
Okay, this one's so great. G. Gallus is a comic creator. She writes and draws her own stuff like MJ, but she also runs her own chocolate company.
Tea.
Chocolate and tea, but she themes all of her teas and chocolates based on public domain novels and characters. So there's her Sherlock Holmes chocolate bar has Earl Grey tea as one of the ingredients in the chocolate bar, and this is specifically for a new flavor, which comes from the picture of Dorian Gray, and one of the characters in it loves strawberries and elderberries.
Something else. Juniper.
Yes,
Juniper,
juniper
yes.
berries. And so that's the chocolate based on it, and a tea based on those flavors. So it's just super interesting. You can kind of go through and see what there's like 10 or 13 chocolate bars and 3 or 4 teas, and you can find the one that you think you might be interested in. And it's cool and unique, and it was a pleasure to talk about that one. Oh, and going straight to hell, we've got Belial. Sean Barber came up with a story about the first ruler of hell trying to take it back from Lucifer and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And he showed it to Chuck Pino, and Chuck Pino decided that it should be a balls out absurd comedy. And Sean went, okay, write it. And that's what Belial is. It's a goofball comedy set in hell with an all-out war between Belial, the original ruler of hell, and the people who took it over from him. So very goofy, very fun, and Chuck is, just a great dude, and anything he does, I'm here for. Another fun, goofy fantasy is Baby Barbarian. It's an all-ages tale about a baby barbarian who sits in a chair that sends him to the land of no rules or work, and what happens after he is there. What I was most interested in the art is it has a Mad Magazine feel, where you're given a panel and all of the information is in the foreground, and then there's a ton of crazy stuff happening in the background that has nothing to do with the story, but just adds humor and absurdity and fun to it. It's really cool. I believe it's young adult. I wouldn't say it's all ages, but middle school is fine. And
Legends of the Realm.
Jack Holder is just a super nice guy. On the show we talked about, every couple weeks he'll just send like an affirmation to people, just like, hey man, you're doing great. You're working on this. You're doing the things that everybody wants to do, and you should hold yourself up high. And it's like, out of nowhere, you just get something at the beginning of the day that says that you're not the dirtbag that you think you are. And I love it. And Jack's just a really great person. But this book is a work of how perspective shapes stories, how 3 people could see something happen and tell the story 3 different ways. And they're all actually true, even though they're saying slightly different things happened. And I haven't read it yet, and I'm really interested to see how Jack plays around with perspective in that way.
Well, I think that's it, except for we have some friends of the show that currently have Kat and Phil, Slice of Life. They're doing their enamel pins for Slice of Life, which is pretty awesome. And I think they also did some. They did the bisexuality pins before, I think.
And so you can pick those up if you missed them, yes.
So that's running right now. And then some guy that I don't think anybody on Kickstarter's ever heard of, Pat. What's his last name? Shamed. I think that's right.
Pat Shamed.
Yeah. Was it like Jail Warlocks or something recently?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Destiny New York, Volume 6, from Pat Shand, is out right now on Kickstarter and is doing gangbusters. So,
and if you haven't heard of that one, it's a really cool. It's a world where magic and prophecies are kind of run of the mill, normal, and the first volume is about a woman who fulfilled her prophecy as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, and has to live the rest of her life out having done the thing she was born to do. Oh, there we got one.
Nice. One of the cards.
Yeah.
You got to get these cards. Yeah. These hollow cards are amazing.
Yeah, he's really does some cool stuff. And speaking of him, I just read Thirsty this week. They go there. All right. And there's some good stuff in there.
And Cheeky's coming, right?
Cheeky's coming. Well, we're not
going to go there. It's on its
there
way.
Could be children listening to this one. Come on.
I doubt it.
And Rabbit's Badass Song. We had Chris Ecclesian on. Rabbit's Badass Song is a story of revenge and fried chicken. Hopefully, I'm going to reach out and see if they can come on this week. Super cool, fun revenge tale. And John Westhoff's Drumsticks of Doom. This is a weird month where we I don't think we can get a lot of the people on that we can hope to, but Drumsticks of Doom is an alternative universe where instead of the Beatles becoming the biggest band in the world, I believe it's Judas Priest, and all of the changes in the world, including bringing a dark magic into the world, happen, and it's just kind of a fun, cool alternate universe. So I think that's our friends of the show.
We've got two more.
We do?
Mr. Guy Zombie Hunter from our friends at Onishi Press.
Oh, cool.
Yep, that's out right now. It's hard to describe. It's he's a zombie hunter, but he's got a infected arm, and has the ghost of the zombie that bit him or something. It's just crazy and pretty awesome. So give it a look.
The real cool thing about what they do is they plant a tree for every single backer they have. Mm-hmm. So if they get 300 backers, that's 300 trees, which is a super cool bonus too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then our buddy Travis Gibb over at Orange Cone Productions, No Contest, The Fight Lawyer. I don't know if
I missed this one. What?
Yeah, it's let's see, it was wrestling, I believe, and he's an attorney that. Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up here.
No Contest, The Fight Lawyer comic book series.
That's right.
There's only 11 days. This was a short one, or have I missed?
Is a hard-hitting one-shot that follows real-life lawyer Daniel Martinez as he helps fighter Axel Strong get back into the ring after being set up by a corrupt local fight organizer. The book is action-packed with fights inside and outside the ring, even in the courtroom. This book is a cross between Law & Order, Cobra Kai, and UFC. There you go.
Sweet. All right. I'm going to give that one a look off air, but Andrew, MJ, pleasure having you. Thank you so much, and good luck for the rest of the campaign, and let us know when you've got, Black Ball number 4, or,
Is your number 2?
I was going to say, or the Alchemist number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and Andrew's Starry Universe novel, if that's what comes. I doubt you're going to do it on Kickstarter if it's with a publisher, but definitely let us know when the next thing is ready to go.
We're looking at Fallen Angels next. That's the next comic.
Fallen Angels. All right. Mm-hmm. Awesome. What's kind of the log line of that one?
That one is, I would have to look it up. I didn't write it. I'm helping an author get it adapted.
Okay, cool.
Well, we're not going to hold you to too much, and it's late, so we're gonna learn more about Fallen Angels when it's time to learn about it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Everybody who was in the comments, thank you, Shawnee. I saw a Facebook user who I think might have been that guy, Charlie Stickney. I think I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together and say that was him. And I think there was Paul. Paul was in with us. Mm-hmm. So everybody, Blake, Paul, everybody who came in the chat, we really appreciate it. You make our Friday nights better when you join us. I know that sometimes you've got to go to a con in Las Vegas, and we're gonna deal with it. But when you don't have that, we appreciate you being with us.
Wow, he totally went there, Shawnee.
Good night, everybody.